Welcome, everyone, to It Tastes Different Gaming Podcast, the podcast with 4 different flavors coming from 4 different gamers. I'm your host, Russell Rowe, and I want to welcome my co-host, Shane Eisterhold, Patrick Smith, and Nick Irwin.
Hey, Patrick, where can they find us?
Well, the first place you should check out is our website at ittastes.different.com. This is the place where you can subscribe to all of our streams and connect to all of our social media sites. You can also find us on Facebook at It Tastes Different. We're also on Instagram at It Tastes Different PC. And then last but not least is Twitter, where you can find us at It Tastes Diff.
What's on the menu for today? We get unlucky and pull the ham slice MRE with G.I. Joe Operation Blackout. This is a third-person shooter game. It's based on the Hasbro's G.I. Joe toys and cartoons and all that stuff from when we were younger. It was released on basically everything: Microsoft Windows, Nintendo Switch, PlayStation 4, Xbox One. It was released on October 13th, 2020. It was released by the developers of Iguana Bee and Fair Play Labs. And depending on where you live, the publishers in North America were Game Mill Entertainment, or in EU, it was Maximum Games. It was built on the Unreal Engine 4. This game has it's interesting. Let's put it that way. I'm going to pass it on over to Russ to start us with this review of this game. Russ, what'd you think of G.I. Joe Operation Blackout?
Patrick, I would first like to take a moment to disclose some information to our listeners, or listener, however you want to look at it. I want to apologize first for picking this game. I got brave. I thought about it and I said, this has got to be good. It looks like Borderlands. It's G.I. Joe. It's Cobra. I want to apologize to my dear friends in this podcast and to every listener that may have been duped into buying this product. Take my word for it. Don't buy it. That ends our podcast. Thanks everybody for listening. No, I'm kidding, guys. Like, seriously, what a rough game. Targeting was god awful. The voice acting was awful. I really want to try to come up with something good about the game, and I don't know that I can. It's G.I. Joe. I mean, I was excited about it. We first looked at it, or at least I first looked at it, and I thought, this got some artwork that looks like Borderlands. Maybe it'll be something like that. I did not look at some of the fine writing, the fine print in this. Number one, there's no multiplayer. There's couch co-op, but no multiplayer. What is this? 1997? I mean, split screen? What is that? I mean, how difficult could it be on a game that is so simplistic to add multiplayer into it? I mean, that probably would have made it fun. I mean, we would have had enough jokes to make it through at least a night of multiplayer. I'm sure of it. I mean, maybe we might not have enjoyed the game, but by gosh, we would have enjoyed each other making fun of the game. I really don't have much positive to say. This is the first game that we reviewed that I haven't even gotten through 50% of the game. I've completed every game we've played. Well, I shouldn't say that, because Crusaders Kings, there's no true finishing of that one. But this one here, I struggled through 3 or 4 missions. It was awful. The targeting, again, was not good. The button controls were not good. The very first mission, you get onto a turret and trying to shoot those F-14s down. I don't know. It was like, am I playing 1942 again? Back in the late 80s, it was awful. I really don't want to sit here and say awful or horrible anymore. So I'm going to pass the buck. I think I'm going to go to Shane tonight, and let's see what the old man has to say.
Well, considering I grew up on G.I. Joe, I had pretty much every toy. I have to say, oh God, it was terrible. At the end of every G.I. Joe episode, there was a PSA, public service announcement, and they'd do some skit about, oh, don't pet a strange dog, or, don't talk to strangers. They should have put one at the beginning of the game and just said, this thing is crap, and it might give you tetanus. This thing was so awful. Besides the controls being just bunk, and the graphics really weren't that bad though. Like Russ said, it has a Borderlands vibe to it, but the game overall is just garbage. The voice acting, Duke sounds like a 12-year-old girl the gunplay is atrocious unless you're the AI, which everything's a headshot. It is a definition of shovelware is what this game is. They took an ideal that, and a concept from people's youth that people loved when they were growing up, and they thought, we'll make a game out of it. And then halfway through, they thought, well, that's too much work. Let's just half-ass it all the way through, and we'll be done. 2 publishers, and I think we were the only people that bought it. But that said, there was a lot of hope for this game. There was a lot of reasons this game could have been good. Putting true multiplayer on it would have been nice. The couch co-op with a game like this does not work. Tried it with my son. My son looked at me and said, Dad, this sucks. Russell sucks for picking it. I'm sorry, Russ, but that's what Nicholas said. The game itself as a whole is just shot. Just truly shot. I would like to have seen them do an Army Man kind of vibe. Use the damned action figures. Use the toys. I think that would have been really cool graphically. I think that would have been really neat. But they need to take this and have it done by somebody who knows how to make a good third-person action game. That said, if you're a true fan of G.I. Joe, avoid it because it'll break your heart. What about you, Pat?
Yeah. This was an interesting game to me because one of the things I was looking forward to was the co-op. I was like, oh, okay, we can do, 2-player co-op campaign or 4-player versus, and we do a lot of stuff like that, Capture the Flag, Assault, and King of the Hill, and Deathmatch Arena stuff. I was like, this could be kind of fun for the 4 of us to kind of play, G.I. Joe. We're all big fans of G.I. Joe, grew up with them, had the toys, all that fun stuff. But, I sat down and I'm like, oh, okay, co-op's only split screen. Okay, it looks like we're not going to be doing that. And that was understandable. Campaign co-op sometimes is often that way with these games. And then we sat down one night and we're getting ready to start up the 4-player PvP, whatever it is, we were going to be like, okay, let's hop in here and try this out. And as soon as I launched it, or we all launched it, we're all sitting there talking to each other going, it says local only. And so, I don't know how you could develop a game in 2020 that only has local couch co-op. If you like couch co-op games, this game might be for you, but I'm past the time in my life where I need to split the screen so my buddies can't see what my screen is and, put the cardboard box halfway in the middle of the TV so that you can be on the bottom and they can be on top. I don't get that in these day and age, but I was the same way. When Russ mentioned this game, he wanted to try this game out. I was like, okay, cool. It looks like Borderlands. That's what I saw. I'm like, this looks like Borderlands. I wonder if the combat's similar. And I'm like, G.I. Joe, Borderlands style, that's going to be fun. I didn't look in too much in who the developer was or any of the publishers because I'm like, okay, whatever, it's G.I. Joe. This, if they could just give me the cutscenes to watch it, because it reminds me of an episode from when I was younger watching G.I. Joe. That's what it looks like to me. But I'll just take the cutscenes and we'll leave the gameplay out because the gameplay is pretty bad. Russ mentioned the scene where you're trying to shoot down the planes in the beginning, the jets, and you got to shoot like 10 feet in front of it to hit it. And you're just like, what? And, and they send like 6 of them at you and you're like, am I supposed to be able to shoot down all 6 because I can't shoot that fast, and so the game is really, really bad. And then the enemies are pretty generic. Their only move is to like not move in a straight line, but like zigzag across the screen. It reminds me of playing like Galaga or something. With we're gonna go left twice, down once, right twice, up once. And they just keep doing that. You're like, okay, look at this pattern. So it was a very disappointing game for me, and I guess it happens when you're buying games. Unfortunately, that we get a bad one, and this is a bad one. I like G.I. Joe, and I want to play G.I. Joe games, but I would have liked it if like Russ and them were saying, it would be a good game if we could have played together, because we can make a bad game a good game by playing together, and we do it all the time. We could play for hours on a game that's really crappy if the co-op is there or the multiplayer is there. We do it all the time. Nick, what were you? Oh yeah, I mean, we do it all the time. We make fun of games, or we run our mouths when we play games and have a good time. Nick, what'd you think of this? I think you're the only one that really kind of made it pretty far in this game.
This game is the greatest game ever. That's sarcasm. This game sucks. It's horrible. I did make it the furthest. I beat the game. I completed it completely. I went through all the missions. It's a lot of rinse and repeat through it. You know, the first few levels have you do certain things like activating turrets to bring on to hold back waves of enemies, and then they have ones where you have to go through I guess a dungeon or like a compound or whatever, and then they section you off in small areas where you have to defeat waves of enemies, and then there's other areas where you have to defeat waves of enemies. And do you see the waves of enemies that are coming at you? Waves of enemies, right? It repeats that. That is, do you like fighting waves of enemies? Because that's exactly what this game is. It's repeating waves of enemies. Even the stuff that you do, there's secondary missions. Like when you go through the mission itself, there's secondary objectives that'll pop up and say, hey, deactivate these computers and stuff. And you're like, okay. You'll go through and you'll find a computer and you'll deactivate it. And guess what happens? Waves of enemies will come in. As soon as each time, like it may say like deactivate 4 computers. Every single time you deactivate a computer, waves of enemies will come. Every single time. So it's a lot of that repeated throughout the entire game. And yeah, I mean, if you love that kind of just repeated gameplay, this is the game for you. But, this game it's up there as far as the worst games I've played. It's not good. I was hoping it would be really good. I like G.I. Joe. I think we all like G.I. Joe. We grew up with G.I. Joe. We like Patrick said, we had G.I. Joe figures and we watched the G.I. Joe cartoons. And, we really had high hopes for a G.I. Joe game. It's been a long time since we've had a G.I. Joe game, and it was nice to see something G.I. Joe come out. And unfortunately, it just ended up being not a very good game. And this is not a very good game. I wouldn't recommend it. I wouldn't recommend it for $10. I mean, really, unless it's free and you want to pick it up and play it, go ahead. But even at $10, I wouldn't recommend this game. It's just not worth your time. It's not a very good game. It's not fun. It's very repetitive. It's hard. Even I played it on normal mode. They have an easy mode and they have a normal mode. The enemies are crack shots. I mean, they will hit you over and over. I mean, no matter what they're doing. Like Patrick said, they zigzag. You go and shoot someone, and they just zigzag towards you. So you can't get a good shot on someone with a sniper rifle or something. You just gotta get lucky. And really, about this game, as far as killing the enemies go, is it's really just being lucky and mowing the enemies down, and a lot of rinse and repeat, and hoping that you just get lucky, and the odds work in your favor where your shield recharges or you find a health pack or something, and it's just really running around the arena that they give you and hoping that you don't die. That's initially it. You have the enemies that come in, you have the big enemies, and no matter what enemy it is, they always seems that they can hit you 100% of the time. Right? It's really just giving distance between you and them where they can't reach you, and you can just kind of try to pick them off. They also have these robots, these like flying robot machines that come at you, and they'll just constantly hit you. You got to take them out right away, or they'll just consistently just hit you no matter what, no matter where you go. They just follow you everywhere. So you got to constantly kill them as well as killing the enemies on the ground. And yeah, it's a lot of rinse and repeat of that. And really what this game was is the cutscenes. Because the cutscenes are not like the old G.I. Joe. They are like the old G.I. Joe cartoons. They're not cartoonish. They're like still cutscenes where they have people just kind of a picture of the G.I. Joes in one place, and they do like the voiceover and kind of text in the air, and that's pretty much it as far as the cutscenes go. But if this game was just no gameplay and just nothing but cutscenes, it would be great. It would be a great G.I. Joe episode.
Watching an episode.
Yes, it would be a great G.I. Joe episode, and that's essentially what it is, right? When you get through it, it's just a G.I. Joe episode. It's like the cartoons we used to watch. It's just an episode of that, but you're playing it, and the playing part is the worst part, right? Watching it's not bad, but the playing part's bad.
Right, because the playing part has you swapping between like G.I. Joe and Cobra Command.
It does, yeah. You swap between the two. Usually, each mission you can pick between two characters. Some of the later missions you can pick more than two, but you can basically pick between the two. They have different.
They have different skill sets.
Yeah, they have different skill
That
sets.
really, I didn't think made a. That was the one thing I liked about the game, and it was kind of bothered by it. It's like they had a really good premise with the different skill sets. Only a few of them, though, truly made a difference of gameplay. The tech guy on the snow level, I can't even think of his name. That's how crappy he was.
Or hi-fi or Wi-Fi. Or
Yeah, Wi-Fi, hi-fi, USB, whatever the hell his name was.
They killed one of my favorite characters, was Roadblock, and when I played him, I'm like, I hate Roadblock. He's so worthless character in this game.
Every character was worthless. Those skill stats didn't matter. They didn't matter. Because I played with every character.
It was their specials that made some sort of a difference, but everything else is just same damn gun, the same damn gunplay.
Right, and the
specials were random and all over the place anyway.
The only one that you really had any use for was the Wi-Fi guy, because he pulls out the drone and that drone just goes around stunning people so you can headshot them. That was the only one. The rest of them were crap on a cracker. Hashtag.
Right. I mean, Duke, he would throw a energy grenade or EMP grenade or something like that, but where it threw, you didn't know. You hit the button and it wouldn't give you like a reticle saying like, oh, this is where we're going to throw it. You just hit the buttons and they do some animation and he just throw it. Oh, yeah. So you're like, okay, it's over there in like the corner where no one's at. Great. I'm glad I threw that. That helped me out a lot. And every gun in the game sucked. The only gun that was actually worth anything was Duke's gun, which you get to play as Duke again because Duke gets captured at the beginning. Spoiler. Right? For those two people that'll play this game.
Metacritic says there's 7 of them, by the way.
Okay. The 7 people, sorry.
4 of them were us.
Yeah, no crap.
You get Duke again at the end of the game, like in the last few missions, and you get his gun. His gun is really good, and it's actually more accurate than the rest of the guns. The rest of the guns are inaccurate as can be. You'll shoot a machine gun, and you will probably hit a character twice, right? You can sit there and spray your machine gun right at him, and you may get like 2 hits on it. I mean, the guns are just horrible.
I will say that, in the beginning of the game, Cobra Commander's gun was the best because it was pretty much like one shot, one kill gun, You basically shot them once and then they died when you played Cobra Commander.
Right.
But let's not even talk about the fact of like the inept AI that's with you during the mission. I mean, that was, I'm like in there and there's like 12 of them around me and the Cobra Commander's like, oh, just kind of like running around. He's like, pew pew. I mean, I'm just like unleashing rounds after rounds after rounds. And I'm like, what is the AI doing with me? I'm killing everything.
Yeah, if you don't play co-op, if you don't have split screen 2-player, the second player is an AI. There's always 2 of you or more. But when you play through it, like I played Cobra Commander. I didn't play the chick that was with him. I can't remember her name. But I ran as Cobra Commander when I did that mission.
Yeah.
In the early game, Lady Jane is the best one to pick. She has the best weapon as far as starting out. When it's Lady Jane and I think Roadblock, she has the best
Roadblock.
weapon.
Roadblocks was horrible, man.
She has like a homing, like shotgun rocket thing going on, and it's one shot, one kill.
Roadblock always had a heavy machine gun in the comics and in the cartoons, and in this game he's got this lightning gun or whatever, and I'm just like, this thing sucks.
Yeah, his taser gun that didn't do crap.
It takes forever to kill anything.
Yeah, you had to basically expend over half the ammo to kill one person, and that's if you're hitting them the entire time.
Oh yeah,
right. Because
I feel like Steve Carell's character right now in Anchorman, and I just want to yell, why are we yelling? Like, it's just like so, so angry about it,
I think one of the developers
on our childhood.
I think one of the developers of this game was probably that character that Steve Carell plays. He's sitting in the back going, I like Lamp.
I would doubt it.
This game, I mean, Roblox's weapon is lightning arc. And the lightning arc, I mean, one of the worst things about it is you don't know how far out it's going. So you don't know if you're hitting the enemy in front of you or you're not, because you can't tell. Because when it hits the enemy, it doesn't make any sort of secondary animation, like where it's showing that it's hitting them. So you're just shooting it out, going, "I think I'm close enough. I hope I'm close enough to hit this enemy." And it seems like I'm using like half my ammo to do it, like you guys said, and hopefully they're dying. That's why Lady Jane was the best one to use, because she had this rocket launcher like shotgun that was one shot, one kill. Now again, it was one of those things where you had to make sure you were on your mark when you hit the enemy. But if it hit them, they were dead, right? The shotguns were horrible. Snake Eyes and Shadow Ninja or Shadow. What was the other guy's name? His brother.
Storm Shadow?
Storm Shadow.
Yeah.
They both sucked. I mean, those are like, at G.I. Joe, those are your two favorite characters, right? Because they're ninjas. No, they both sucked in this game. They were the worst characters to play in this game because they had no weapons. The melee, it does have a melee. This game has a melee.
The melee is like 84 hits to knock down a generic dude.
Well, the regular guys, the melee will kill them in one hit. But you got to be right up on them. But the problem is the AI is shooting you constantly. So you're just getting shot constantly to go up and hit a melee.
While you're trying to run up to them, yeah.
Right. By the time you hit a melee and get one killed, you're dead because the 20 other people in the room have just shot you to death. So melee was pretty much non-existent in this game.
Right.
Even though they had it.
Yep.
Well,
yeah, I don't know. I don't think you could get any worse of a game, and the only way they could have got a worse of a game was if you bought it and they mailed you a box with a turd in it.
You know what? I think I could take that turd and resell it.
At least you got a box.
This game,
I think I'd actually play with the turd.
You'd have compost.
You could polish it. You could at least polish the turd.
Chris is over there making pottery with it.
What was weird about the graphics, though, and the graphics weren't bad. They were kind of like comic booky in a way. They did have this weird, I noticed that on the distant objects and some of the closer objects and even the characters, they had the dot feature of the old comics where it almost like the Archie comics. You remember where they had like the dots for their skin and stuff? They have that all throughout the game. And I don't know if that was supposed to be like more of a comic book feel thing or what. I don't know. I couldn't understand that because I don't remember the G.I. Joe comics having that like Archie did. Maybe they did, but
I don't think so.
I don't think they did. And they had that kind
probably
of
just trying to hit the comic book touch.
Right, and they kind of had that overlay with the graphics because if you go play the game again, I don't know if any of you guys noticed that, but if you notice that, you'll see that kind of dot outline, and that was just kind of weird.
Well, the biggest drawback of the game is, again, somebody took a movie, a show, and tried to convert it into a game, and they failed. They didn't truly want to make something good. They just wanted to make something passable.
They could have just made it the G.I. Joe movie, and that's what you bought. They said it's a game, but when you play it, it's the G.I. Joe movie.
No, because the voice acting was so goddamn bad on there.
You remember the movie, though? The movie was
I remember the... Yeah, because it had Don Johnson.
That would have been more entertainment than this.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it breaks my heart because I really wanted to enjoy it, just like you guys. Because G.I. Joe, man, I had all the stuff. I had all the weapons and the vehicles and the characters. And like you said, everybody liked Snake Eyes and the Storm Shadow. They were ninjas. And what did we get? We got crap with a hood.
Yep, I couldn't make it through very much of this game. I tried on multiple occasions. I played when I first loaded it up. I'm like, okay, cool, let's give this a go. Played through it, played a few hours. I think I played 2 or 3 hours, and I got to the point where I'm like, I'm bored of this game. And then so I set it down and went off and did something. I came back that night, and I just I cannot even play it. I tried. I played a little bit more, and I'm like, this game is just killing me. I just can't do it. I'm forcing myself to play this game, and I'm not enjoying it. I'd rather play a game that gives me anxiety, like these scary games that we're playing, than this game. And I don't like scary games. So
If the first few hours of this game bore you to tears, for a person who has completed the game completely, you're not missing anything. The entire game will bore you to tears.
But in Nick's defense, he likes pain.
Not this much.
Nick
pain.
is our masochist.
I went through it. I completed the game, got the end credits and everything, and
that proves it. You beat the game.
You know, it was like
neither of us did.
It was like I don't want to ever play this game again. That was essentially what I left it at. And I until we tried the multiplayer, which we found out was not online multiplayer, it was just all split screen. Even the team battle and all that, capture the flag and all that stuff. Once I found out that we couldn't play online because like you said, Patrick, we tried that and we found out that was even couch co-op. And the story being couch co-op, that's okay. I mean, we've seen games do that in the past. Okay, that's fine. But then they have this multiplayer section, it's like capture the flag, team assault, all this stuff. And it's like, oh, okay, well, let's try that online. So we all get on, like you said, Patrick, we all get on and we figured out, no, that's also couch co-op. And it's like, what game? I mean, I understand the campaign, but multiplayer, I mean, what game nowadays is multiplayer online where it's just couch co-op? That's unheard of anymore. I mean, we've grown past that as gamers. There should be some online component. I mean, if you want to find a game that's completely offline, this is definitely it.
Yeah, and there's certain games that they're perfect for couch co-op. Cuphead, for instance, perfect couch co-op game, but there's still no damn reason it shouldn't have online co-op. Same thing with Battletoads. Perfect couch co-op game. No reason it should not have online. G.I. Joe. Its crap should have never been made, online or off.
I will have to say, though, that I got took even worse. I bought the digital deluxe version, too.
Hey, so did I. It was like
$8 more.
So happy. The digital deluxe stuff that you could get, though.
Yeah, I got took.
I couldn't wear any of their outfits or anything.
I was like, you got the $40 version or the $50 version, and I'm like, ooh, it's G.I. Joe. It has to be okay, right? And I bought the $50 digital deluxe version, and I feel stupid for buying it.
Oh, yeah, I threw up a little in my mouth.
This game should have been like the old NES G.I. Joe games. It should have been a 2D side scroller.
Yeah.
This game should have been more like Army Men.
I think it should have been like Borderlands, in my opinion.
Or Borderlands, yeah. Anything.
They tried that, and it just went to...
They should have took G.I. Joe and replicated the games that work nowadays and just put G.I. Joe into it.
Right, yeah, I mean, it's... It didn't work the way that they put it out, but it worked good enough for them to get my $50.
Well, I mean, let's be honest. Let's be honest. They didn't do enough to get your $50 because it was Russ going, "Hey, I saw this thing called G.I. Joe. Let's try it out before we really look at anything. It looks like it's okay. Let's do this." Yeah,
that's true. If it wasn't for us, we probably wouldn't have bought it.
I mean, it is my fault. I mean, the problem is we were looking at it. We were looking at a time where like not a lot was being released. We're like, hey, this looks pretty cool. $40. We got pretty lucky with the last $40 game we bought. In the sense of being Squadrons, of course. I mean, but that's a perfect example. Here you have a storied franchise with Star Wars. You throw together a little multiplayer X-Man, not X-Man, but X-Wing versus TIE Fighter. You kind of get some stuff in there. You throw it in there. It's $40. You throw a little bit of a storyline in there, and you're like, hey, you know what? I don't mind paying $40 for this. It wasn't too bad. They had the same opportunity with this G.I. Joe. They could have made it like 5-on-5, Joe versus whatever, and threw in a little bit of a storyline in between, and it would have been much better than this pile of garbage that they gave us in this thing. And so, that just kind of popped in my head while I was thinking about it. I mean, there was really no excuse for this. Unfortunately, I think the assumption of, hey, it's a $40 game, we should give it a try. We don't really have anything else that's coming out right now. And so I've definitely learned my lesson on the fact that I will be doing 12 times the amount of research before suggesting a game. And definitely not going to be like, ooh, that's cool. That reminds me of my childhood. Let's try that. Because there's plenty of things in my childhood that I don't want to remember.
Next, we're gonna get She-Ra's cat training.
Oh my gosh.
Oh,
Waiting for the He-Man.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's gonna be like
He-Man's Roid Rage.
It's gonna be like Castle Grayskull, interior design your own, or something like that. Oh my gosh.
Now you know,
like a Sims spinoff.
Yeah.
now you know that G.I. Joe, all of them, good and bad, are all stormtroopers in the future, right? Because just like the show, they couldn't hit crap.
So yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think right now we're just pretty much bashing on it because it's pretty bad. So I don't know about you guys, but I don't have anything more to say on it. It kind of took my money and I want it back.
Yeah, I don't want to run off any more listeners to think that we just sit here and bash a game, but this is definitely a very, very rough product. I mean, if this reaches one person that doesn't waste 40 or $50, I think together we should call this a win. So if there's anybody out there, even if you think that we're a bunch of cynical old men, please don't waste your money. Spend that $40. Go get 20 Whoppers or whatever you can get with it. Feel miserable that way versus feeling miserable this way.
Don't buy this game. It's not worth it. It's not worth your money. Avoid it at all costs. Unless it's free, just don't play it.
Right.
And if it's free, delete it immediately because it's probably ruining your system.
So I didn't know this was a bad game, but now I know, and knowing's half the battle. G.I. Joe. There's your PSA for this episode.
Yeah.
G.I. Joe PSA for you.
Yeah. There we go.
Yeah, but PSA stands for something a little different on G.I. Joe now.
It's better to know the truth, as G.I. Joe would tell you. Flint and G.I. Joe, it's better to tell the truth.
That's right, except for when freaking Storm Shadow or Shipwreck comes out of the bathroom and tells you smoking's bad. What are you doing in the bathroom? This is a junior high.
You had to use the facilities.
EOS.
Yeah, no crap.
Oh my God.
All right. Well, I don't got anything else to add to this. Anybody else?
I'm out of puns.
No, I'm pun free.
Don't buy it. Yeah, don't buy it.
All right. Well, we appreciate everybody tuning in for this episode of Don't Buy G.I. Joe. Everybody catch us on the next episode.